Hello and welcome to TTG Canada Fest's panel discussion covering all that you need to know about the latest news, travel trends, consumer behaviour and new products in Canada. We're joined by Destination Canada's Enhanced Travel Trade Manager Adam Hamner and Steve Gerard, who is Air Canada's General Manager for Sales for the UK and Ireland. Thank you both for being here.
Hi everyone, thanks for having us.
Oh, lovely. Now, in this session, we're going to be sharing plenty of great advice to help you sell Canada. And if you've got any questions at all during the session for Adam or Steve, please just put them in the chat box and we'll make sure we answer those for you. Now, let's start by discussing some market updates. Adam, tell us how are visitation numbers looking for Canada in terms of arrivals from the UK and Ireland?
Thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously been a strange old few years, but we're benchmarking off 2019, which actually was a record year for us in terms of Brits going to Canada. And actually, if you're tracking the overall numbers, we're running about 72% year on year through till September. But actually, when you look at the leisure traffic through our key account tour operators, it's much higher than that. So the business has definitely come back. But actually, looking forward, we're very much we're focusing less on numbers and more about working towards a regenerative approach. So this is really more about making sure we spread visitation across seasons and regions, and ensuring the interaction between visitors and our host communities is healthy, and encouraging our visitors to return home with a sense of having contributed to a favourable tourism interaction and not an exploitative one. So this regenerative travel is really our new focus, our new goal for 2030.
Fabulous, lovely. And Steve, tell us, what are you seeing with Air Canada passenger numbers? How are bookings from the UK and Ireland faring this year in comparison to previous years?
So we're really, really happy with our passenger numbers, not just versus last year where we saw a really strong rebound after the pandemic, but even when we compare to 2019, it all looks really positive. So we think we're heading for a really successful year out of the UK and Ireland this year. The UK is actually the biggest international market for Air Canada outside of North America, both in terms of number of flights we operate here and the revenue generated. So it's great when we do well.
Oh, fabulous. Lovely. And going back to you, Adam, do you have any tourism goals that you're working towards by the end of the year that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we want to have a good TTG Canada Fest. Obviously, that's the immediate one. But yeah, I mean, looking sort of aside from that, we've ran our first consumer campaign, which started in end of August into September. So we've been doing a really big awareness push, which actually finished off at the end of October, early November. But actually, we've got another push going into December. So if you go into our partner room, you'll see our new video, and what we've done is for next year, we're really trying to push into fall or into autumn as we know it. And you'll see that video with some of our sort of golden colours you can experience in that time. So yeah, that's and also we'll have another early push on awareness, which should benefit everyone in Q1.
Fabulous, lovely. And Steve, what about Air Canada? Are there any targets in your sights at the moment?
So we're just really looking to build on the success that we've had this year, because it's shaping up to be a really successful year for us. We're waiting for our revenue goals for 2024, but really our strategy matches that of Destination Canada, with whom we work really closely and collaboratively in the UK market. So we're aiming to stretch the summer peak. Summer peak's always extremely busy. Trying to stretch that out, encourage travel into the shoulder season and into the low season as well, because Canada really is a year-round destination and we want to get that message out there.
Perfect, lovely. And then thinking a bit more about travel trends, Adam, what trends are you seeing in consumer behaviour when it comes to travel to Canada?
Well, I mean, certainly the bear viewing lodges, which are out on British Columbia, out off the island of Vancouver Island, are heavy demand and kind of very much one of these COVID bucket list hangovers. So those need to be booked early because they're actually small in terms of the actual availability, in terms of the actual rooms we've got in these lodges. But actually, one really nice trend we're seeing is that, you know, UK visitors, and this has been for a while, are traveling more widely across Canada. We're still buzzing actually off Race Across the World, which took place, it took place a couple of years ago, but actually was shown earlier in the spring. And I think one of the highlights of that show was actually it really showcased some of the lesser known destinations. So, you know, particularly Atlantic Canada, the Yukon, places like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the lesser known bits of Ontario really got a great highlight and actually are benefiting from that great TV show, which actually, if you've not seen it, you must, and it's still on the iPlayer.
Oh, perfect. Yes, yeah, top tip. Make sure everyone catches up on that. Steve, tell us about trends with consumer booking patterns for Air Canada. What are you seeing?
So we think we're seeing sort of reverting back to pre-pandemic patterns of travel. So obviously the pandemic threw everything up into the air in terms of how far in advance people were booking. And that sort of hung over to a few months after the end of the pandemic last year. So really Canada historically is a destination that people plan and book a long way in advance of travel. So we're starting to see that again. Totally agree with what Adam just said about Race Across the World. It had a hugely positive impact on UK consumers' desire to travel to Canada. It really did for me. I love the show anyway. I'd watched the previous two series. It actually got higher viewing numbers in the third series than the first two. So over 5 million people watched that show every week.
Oh, wow.
And it did a really good job of showcasing the beauty of Canada, the diversity of scenery across all the different provinces, and the warmth and friendliness of the Canadian people. Little bit of a cliche, but Canadians really are very nice. In terms of routings, the West always remains ever popular, but we are seeing increased interest in travel to the other provinces, and we are still seeing a propensity for the leisure customer on our aeroplanes to trade up to our premium cabins. I think the pandemic has made people just do things that they want to do. Don't put them off anymore. Just go ahead and do that, and we're seeing that, I think, on our aircraft.
Oh, that's really interesting. Have you got any sort of predictions about where trends might go, sort of looking to 2024 and further ahead?
Difficult to make projections, but our forward bookings look strong, even when you compare them to a really strong year this year and last year. So that's really positive. And the anecdotal feedback we get from our travel trade partners is that there is a continued interest in travel to Canada. So long may that continue.
Fabulous, definitely. And Adam, what about you? Have you got any sort of crystal ball gazing predictions that you can share with us looking at future trends?
Well, I can tell you for certain, yeah, like our key account tour operators or the tourists we work with that work with travel agents have definitely have seen a really strong early booking for 24. So, you know, 24 is looking really good. I think, you know, one thing that we're trying to tap into, and again, this regenerative travel piece is, you know, looking at this travel as a force for good. And I think there is, you know, all the stuff you read says that people are interested in doing that. And, you know, how can you actually do that in Canada? Well, you know, one of the things we're trying to do is this extending the season. So really pushing the season right into October. And then also looking at travel in winter, which I'll talk a bit about in a little bit. And then, you know, taking that road less traveled. But, you know, one thing that's been really great, and I've seen probably in the 10 years I've been here, is we've had a real growth in Indigenous travel experiences. So there are some fab experiences across Canada from coast to coast to coast. So, you know, people now can, you know, stay in an Indigenous owned and operated lodge where they might have an Indigenous guide who'll share the wildlife with you from their age-old perspective. Or they might be able to take a medicine walk in the Rockies or a canoe trip with an Indigenous guide or eat an Indigenous-inspired meal. And I think that's something that I would really encourage all the agents to seek out an Indigenous experience for their clients. And you know, the tour operators will be able to help with that.
Definitely. Wonderful. Brilliant tips there. Thank you. And now let's chat a bit more about product update. So Steve, tell us about Air Canada's connectivity between the British Isles and Canada. What are the routes and how frequent are they?
So Air Canada has more non-stop flights from the UK to Canada than any other airline. For summer 24, we have scheduled 9 flights a day from Heathrow. That's broken down to 4 a day to Toronto, 2 a day to Montreal, and 1 to Halifax, Calgary, and Vancouver. In addition to that, we've got our seasonal services that we operate out of Edinburgh and Manchester to Toronto.
Oh, fabulous. And is there anything to highlight for next year, sort of any new routes or increased capacity anywhere?
So in terms of capacity, we're actually back to our pre-pandemic capacity in the UK and Ireland, and in fact across the whole of Europe over into Canada. We're back to where we were pre-COVID. If we look at the UK specifically, we don't have any new routes planned for next year, but we do have a slight increase in capacity planned because we are planning to fly slightly bigger aircraft on some of our London-Toronto services next year. And our Manchester to Toronto service will be 6 times a week next year instead of the 5 we operated this year. We are also looking a little bit further ahead, we're due to take delivery of new aircraft from 2025 onwards.
Exciting.
That includes Airbus A321 XLR, the extra long range version of that aircraft, and 787 Dreamliner 10 aircraft, which is the latest generation of the Dreamliner family. So exciting times ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Fabulous. And Adam, what about you? What are the new product launches that you're excited about at the moment?
Well, there's going to be a new Nobu hotel in Toronto, which will be cool to bring that brand to the city. I think it's got some film star links in the shape of some Robert De Niro investment, which always adds a little something. Yeah, exactly. And then they're actually opening a new Canadian canoe museum in Ontario, which, the canoe is really linked with how Canada opened up as a country, and it's got a huge sort of resonance to Canadians. So you definitely get your clients to get out on a canoe or kayak trip, even if it's just a little paddle, someone else paddling them for 20 minutes. And then there's quite an exciting, actually, it's obviously not out of the UK, but Air Canada have got a new flight going Toronto to Yellowknife. Now, people might not know Yellowknife, but it's in the Northwest Territories. Now, Northwest Territories is one of the best places to see Northern Lights. They get them anywhere from 220 to 240 nights a year. So with this new service flying 3 times a week, you can go in the winter and you can basically do Northern Lights and Niagara, which is pretty cool. So previously with Northwest Territories or NWT, as we knew it, you had to get out to Calgary. But you can do it with Toronto now, and I think that's a really cool package. And then we are seeing a rise in winter packages on offer across our tour operators that work with travel agents. Now that's not just skiing. Obviously, we've got world-class skiing with the likes of Whistler, Banff, Lake Louise, Tremblant, some of the smaller resorts. But going and doing that winter wonderland experience is pretty special. Seeing the Rockies in the winter. So yeah, those are definitely some trends that we're excited about.
Amazing. Oh, they sound fantastic. Thank you. And Steve, do you have any plans in place to develop Air Canada's product offering in the coming months?
Yeah, so we're constantly looking to evolve and develop and improve our products, not only in the air, but also on the ground. So one example of that is we revamped our in-flight entertainment system in 2019. So our customers today, your customers today, can experience 50% more content on our IFE than they could pre-pandemic. That does include Apple TV. So if you want to watch Ted Lasso, for example, you can on board. And we're the first airline in the world to offer Disney Plus originals on our aircraft. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, we're continuously investing in refreshing our fleet. So we've spent billions of dollars on new aircraft in the last 10 years. And that investment continues as we move forward. So our latest aircraft orders are for 30 A321 XLRs. We will have a full business class flatbed product on that aircraft, which is quite unusual for a single aisle aircraft across the Atlantic. So we're excited about that. The 787-10 Dreamliners that I mentioned, we are looking at a new business class product when we take delivery of that aircraft from 2025 onwards. And in addition to that, we have also ordered 30 electric hybrid aircraft from a company called Heart Aerospace in Sweden. Now, that aircraft's designed to carry 25 to 30 passengers up to 800 kilometres, so short haul flying. You won't see that aircraft across the Atlantic anytime soon, but you may well see it on some of our trunk routes domestically, for example, Toronto to Montreal. So watch out for those aircraft on board. We're also trialing and in fact just released some bag tracking technology. So that went live last week on certain domestic and international routes. That enables our customers to track via our app where their bag is. So they can sit on board the aircraft before takeoff and know that the bag is on the aircraft.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, if it isn't, if it doesn't get to the destination, they know where it is in our system, and it just helps our customers be on the same page as our customer relations team in terms of baggage. So we're quite excited about that.
Brilliant. Gosh, you and your team have been busy. Fabulous. Don't forget, if you've got any questions for Steve or Adam as we're going through, just pop them in the chat box and we will make sure we answer those for you. Let's chat a bit more about 2024. So Adam, how are you going to be supporting UK and Irish travel agents in the next year? And how are you going to help them sell more Canada holidays?
Well, the heartbeat of our training is really our Canada Specialist program, which we've had for over 30 years now. And so hopefully everyone that's on here is familiar with it. And if you're not, you need to get on it. And the exciting thing about the latest version is we've got an app. So you can download the app and you can learn offline, which I think is really useful. And we've had great feedback on that. We will be having a webinar program again next year. That was really successful this year. And we'll be running that again next year on Wednesdays at 4:00. So look out for the webinar program for next year. Obviously, fam trips are really important to us. We've got, I think, 2 we're planning for sure. And then we're working with some of our tour operator partners to provide even more, as well as obviously the one we're offering you guys today to Vancouver, partnering up with obviously with Air Canada and with Michael from Whistler and Vancouver. And then, the one thing we're going to relaunch is our elite program. So we're looking for our top 20 travel agents by revenue in terms of sales. And what we're looking at doing is introducing a 2-year program for them, mainly evolved around some pretty special fam trips. So we'll be coming out with that in January. The ask for people to register to see if they can join that program, and then that's super exciting. And then we've got our sort of top 20 agents, and we'll look to give them some extra love and support.
Wow.
So quite a lot going on.
Lots to look forward to. Brilliant, thank you. And Stephen, we've got a question from Chrissy. She said, did you say there's going to be a direct flight to Vancouver next year?
We've got one daily direct flight year round from Heathrow to Vancouver.
Perfect, lovely, thank you. And then also, Steve, sort of similar question that we asked Adam, how are you going to be supporting UK and Irish agents next year? Have you got anything exciting that we should be highlighting?
So the trade is really important to us at Air Canada. We couldn't enjoy the success that we do without the support of the trade, and we really value that support. So thank you everyone on the call for supporting Air Canada. Various things in the pipeline for next year. We've signed up to 13 of the Travel Gossip Roadshows in 2024, so look forward to seeing some of you at those. We do have a tailored training program on OTT, online travel training. It is specific to the UK market. And we're on target to get around 1,000 agents through that training session in 2023. So looking forward to building on that moving forward. Like Adam's just mentioned, fam trips we see as very valuable. We do run them. We will continue to run them in 2024. We do have a really cool virtual reality set system in Canada, which we take to various trade and consumer shows, and sometimes take it out to our trade partners' offices.
And does that bring you on board?
It does bring you on board. So you get the opportunity of choosing which cabin to sit in. And funnily enough, everyone goes straight to signature or business class.
I bet.
Nobody really seems to choose the economy cabin. I don't know why. But you can spin the aircraft around and take the lid off the aircraft and point at the cabin you want to sit in. And it's incredibly realistic. So hopefully we can get that. Hopefully we can get that out and about quite a lot more.
Oh, lovely. So if agents want to see that, that's you possibly bring that to their offices and at events.
Yeah, just let us know. And the only other thing I would say is that we do have a really experienced team at Air Canada in sales, in inside sales, and in groups. We all sit in the same office near Heathrow. So please do not hesitate to contact us if you've got any queries. We're here to help.
Lovely. And Adam, tell us about your key marketing messages for 2024. What are you going to be encouraging agents to talk to their clients about when it comes to Canadian holidays?
Yeah, just on that VR set, it's quite fun. You can actually throw bread rolls down the cabin, which I know you're not.
Try that, yeah.
I know you're not really supposed to do, but that was the highlight.
It's fine virtually, Adam. It's fine virtually.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's fun virtually. Yeah, you don't want to do that on the plane, but yeah, no, it's brilliant. Actually, it's really good. Yeah, for us, we're very much looking at stretching the autumn season. So September's always a really popular time for Brits to Canada, and one of our goals for next year is to really push that into October. And actually, October is a really nice time to travel. The weather can be a bit less predictable, but often we get blue skies, crisp, cooler days, which make hiking, biking, canoeing more pleasurable than maybe the heat of the summer. We also get fall colours, actually, which people don't really know Canada for, particularly in Eastern Canada, Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes, but also out west as well. But particularly, you get just as good fall colours as you get over the border in the US. And also, animal hibernation behaviour is still at its peak, allowing for great wildlife viewing options. The wildlife's always a big draw for people coming to Canada. And then, not to forget our winters. We're trying to really shine a light on winter, and obviously Canada has a long winter in certain places. Some of our other partner international markets have got this campaign, Canada the Home of Winter, and it really can own winter. And actually going in winter to Canada and not skiing, there's so much to do with the dog sledding and doing the snowmobiling and stuff like that. It's really fun. So we're really sort of pushing that. And also we've got our winter city festivals with the like of Winterlude in Ottawa and Igloo Fest in Montreal. And also you will get sort of lower airfares in the winter as well. So and then finally Northern Lights. Again, people don't really always think of Canada for Northern Lights, but we've got phenomenal Northern Lights, particularly in the Yukon and Northwest Territories, I mentioned before. So it's on a lot of people's bucket lists, and it's quite easy to add it onto a trip to Canada.
Yeah, and are there any particular sort of prime times for seeing the Northern Lights?
Yeah, well, they have quite a long season actually. So, if you go to the Yukon, it's sort of from September through to sort of March. NWT is a similar time. They tend to have like a full season, which kind of is that sort of September, October time, and then a sort of winter season, sort of January, February, March time. So, but and I'm told, I'm told it is better than what you get in the Nordics. I know it's obviously it's a bit easier and cheap and potentially cheaper to get to the Nordics, but I think just because we've got very little light pollution and particularly over NWT, that it's supposed to be absolutely phenomenal. So I think if people are really keen to do it, then they should come to Canada to see it.
Amazing, lovely. And Steve, what about your sort of top advice for agents who are selling or looking to sell flights with Air Canada going forwards? What are the top tips?
So a few things. Try and book as early as possible. Generally, the earlier you book, the more availability, the better the pricing. Try and book outside of the peak if you can. Try and stretch that peak through into the shoulder and even the winter. We have very flexible fares. You can tailor those fares to the budgets of your customers. So if they want to fly out in economy and perhaps back in one of our premium cabins, premium economy or business class, our fares do enable you to do that very easily. Just remember that Air Canada does have the biggest network of any airline within Canada, as well as more flights from the UK to Canada than any other airline. So in terms of connectivity, you should get good connections to most destinations in Canada. Finally, just remember that we are an award-winning airline here at Air Canada. Not only are we a 4-star Skytrax airline, we also won Skytrax World's Most Family-Friendly Airline Award in 2023. So if you are booking families, you can book them on Air Canada with confidence.
Fabulous. Wonderful. And we've got a question here from Kate. She says, for you, this one for you, Steve, could you cover what to expect on a flight in respect of refreshments and also the luggage allowances for snowboards, please?
So we carry skis and snowboards free of charge on board. So that is a good benefit to any skiers you might be booking. We have a variety of chef-inspired menus on board, and a selection of Canadian, non-Canadian wines. Obviously, the food selection depends a bit on which cabin you are sitting in.
Brilliant, lovely. And we've got a nice comment here from Debbie. She says, I went in December to Ontario and it was lovely to see all of the snow and Niagara too. That's good to hear. Thank you, Debbie. And then back to you, Adam and Steve. Have you got any sort of final thoughts, maybe top tips or recommendations for agents that you'd like to share? Adam, would you like to go first?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully you'll watch my presentation tomorrow and I can do a little bit more to sell it into you. But yeah, I mean, Canada does, we do quietly win quite a lot of awards actually, which I think I don't feel we always need that recognition. But yeah, recently I think Quebec was featured in the Condé Nast Traveler Best Place to Visit in the World in 24. Northwest Territories also featured in their Best Places to Visit. I think Wanderlust Magazine, British Columbia just won an award. So yeah, don't just take it from us. We're kind of a well-awarded destination, and I think the big thing for Canada is the people. I think if anyone watched Race Across the World, that's when you actually realise that Canadians are that friendly, and I think those that watched it, the last episode was particularly quite interesting, and people thought it was fixed, but because someone helped the winners, but actually no, they're that friendly, and particularly in the Maritimes and Newfoundland and Labrador. So yeah, I think service levels also very good, that North American level of service. And yeah, we've got this just wonderful natural beauty, the landscape national parks, which a lot of people are looking for, and all the wildlife as well, which is a real hit. As well as all our kind of award-winning sort of rail journeys with like sort of Rocky and Via Rail. So there's plenty to go at, and we are genuine four-season destinations. So yeah, and generally one of the good things we find is when people go, they generally, if they've gone west, they want to go east. If they've had a really, really good time, and vice versa. So if you get someone there first, hopefully you'll get a repeat visit and you'll get another booking. So I'll end on that.
Thank you. And then Stephen, a couple of quick fire questions for you. We've got Kate has just wanted to check, can a customer have their full luggage allowance and a snowboard bag?
Yes, they can.
Lovely. And then Jane wants to know regarding snowboarding and skiing. She said, I've read that this also includes ski boots. Can we just confirm on that?
Yep, we carry ski boots free of charge as well.
Wonderful. And another one for you, Stephen. Sorry, it's a bit quick fire ones for you. Are there any plans for you to extend the Edinburgh flights again next winter?
We haven't finalised our schedule yet for next year. We will be operating Edinburgh from May through to October. If we don't extend it next year, it won't be because the flight wasn't successful. It was extremely successful. But it may be just that we're waiting for the right aircraft to go on that route, and possibly the 321 could be an option for that route. So just watch this space in terms of schedule on Edinburgh.
Oh, lovely. Fabulous. And do you have any other sort of top tips to share, Stephen?
I think we covered most things. I'd just echo what Adam said really about Race Across the World and the friendliness of the people. The program did a fantastic job of showcasing that. They genuinely will give you a lift 500 miles in the opposite direction from where they're going. Offer to let you sleep in their house, and so on. Please watch that show if you haven't already done so. And just to close, just don't hesitate to contact us if you have any queries. I've been with Air Canada just coming up to 8 years. They still call me the new boy. There is a lot of experience in the team, and we're very happy to share that experience. So please contact us.
Oh, wonderful, lovely. I think we've got a couple more minutes for our next session. So I know a question I actually had for you, Adam, was you mentioned some of the wildlife. What can customers expect to see, sort of wildlife wise, in Canada? What are those big hitters that they've got to?
Well, the bears are pretty special. Yeah, I mean, going to a bear lodge is a once in a lifetime experience. But actually, you don't have to go to a bear lodge, which it comes at a price point. You can go to Whistler and do a bear viewing tour. You go down to the golf course in Whistler in the summer, and there's a good chance of seeing bears. I think we've got polar bears as well. So people that really love wildlife, getting Churchill. I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed to see polar bears there. And then the whales, the whales and dolphins on the west coast in Victoria. You've got orcas. We've got all sorts of whales. At the east coast as well, really good whale watching. Newfoundland, amazing humpbacks. And then you've got it down the St. Lawrence River in Quebec as well. But actually, some of the exciting stuff, some of the smaller stuff, which the Canadians aren't that bothered about, like the little chipmunks and the beavers. We don't. I mean, I know there are some beavers here now, I think, but yeah, I particularly like those and the bird life. You see an eagle and you're like, wow, that's amazing, and that it's just normal over there. So there's kind of an awesomeness to the and there's puffins on the east coast. And the moose. Don't forget the moose as well. So yeah, we've got the moose are quite cool. Although I've not seen one yet. Actually, they're a bit more elusive actually. But yeah, particularly the bears are a huge draw, and the whales as well.
Wow! And if someone does want to see a moose, where's the best place? Where do you go moose?
Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario is probably good, but Newfoundland's got a lot of moose actually. So yeah, you might stand a chance of seeing one there.
Oh, fabulous! And if people are looking for sort of bucket list inspiration, what do they have to have on their list, do you think, Adam? And we'll come on to you as well in a minute, Stephen. What are those bucket list must-dos?
Oh goodness, well there's loads, and that's the thing about Canada, really is. I mean, a lot of people kind of want to do the Rocky Mountaineers on their bucket list. I think the Rockies itself, but Northern Lights now I'd say is on there, and even just seeing a bear I think is, or the whales is those moments which really are really super special. And then I love all the cities. Vancouver as a city itself, I think people go there don't realize how absolutely amazing it is. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some kind of famous ones, but yeah, there's plenty to sort of scratch beneath the surface as well.
Brilliant. And what about you, Steve? What do you think everyone should have on their Canadian bucket list?
Again, it's difficult to narrow it down.
Too much choice.
It's such a huge country that it's multiple destination country. So if you've already booked people over to the west, send them to the east, send them to the middle. I was lucky enough to go to Churchill in Manitoba just over a year ago. I did see the polar bears out in the wild. That's the polar bear capital of the world. They've got a population of about 1,000 bears that migrate down to the shores of the Hudson Bay in October, November, waiting for the bay to freeze so they can go hunting for seals. Incredible experience, and fantastic northern lights up there as well.
Brilliant, lovely. And we've got a comment from Kate here. She says, yes, the Rocky Mountaineer, Gold Leaf, and an Alaskan cruise for me. We're coming in February with Air Canada to ski in Banff, and I cannot wait. Oh, fabulous. Well, we hope you have a wonderful time, Kate.
The skiing is world class as well. Yeah, I mean, like Whistler, Banff, like guaranteed snow, which you don't really get in Europe now. So yeah, I'm glad. It's great she's coming.
Amazing, lovely. Well, yeah, Kate, enjoy your trip, and everyone else, we hope that's given you lots of inspiration, and we will let you move on to the next session now. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks Charlotte. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.